This is the updated Mercedes GLE, and over the course of this video, we'll quickly run through what's changed, what stays the same, and discuss if this is the 1 crore plus luxury SUV for you.
Yup, you heard that right. The GLE sees a big bump up in prices. As before, the range starts with the GLE 300D diesel that sports a 96.4 lakh rupee ex-showroom price tag. That's a full 23 lakh rupees more than what the pre-facelift model was launched at in 2020. The older GLE 400D diesel has been replaced by the more powerful 450D that's yours for 1.15 crore rupees, while the GLE 450 petrol featured here comes in at 1.1 crore rupees. With that out of the way, let's get to what's changed. If you know your Merc SUVs, you'll immediately identify this as a GLE. It's a big SUV, and that wraparound look for the rear quarter glass and rear windscreen is a now iconic design detail that links to the original ML of 1997. However, correctly identifying this as the GLE facelift requires more careful attention. Across the lineup, GLEs get redone headlamps with a new eyebrow-like DRL signature, and the taillight internals get a refresh of their own. GLE 300Ds offered in professional trim sport cleaner styling for the bumpers and new look 19-inch alloy wheels. The more powerful 450D and 450 offered in AMG line form dial up the flash value. Helping here are the larger 20-inch AMG style wheels, sportier bumpers and a bolder grille with a single horizontal slat. Look closely and you'll also notice a neat star pattern for the mesh.
As on the outside, not much has changed on the inside of the GLE, but that's no bad thing because this is a very nicely done, a very soothing ambience that you get inside the cabin. Quality on the whole as before remains top class. Whatever you see looks rich and feels rich as well. I really like these metal surrounds for the air conditioning vents. The big change of note is Mercedes' new 3-spoke steering wheel. Now we've seen it in other models as well, but the news isn't all that good because now all the buttons have become touch sensitive. As we've reported in other cars, it's a bit of a hit and miss affair. You might press something when you don't intend to, and when you do want to press a button or use a control, it doesn't work all that well.
Absolutely no complaints for the screens the buttons operate.
The digital dials are really crisp, vibrant in colors and very informative too. And what's also nice is that they get multiple themes which really add to the experience.
There's a head-up display as well with its own selectable themes.
Then there's the central touchscreen, which is very responsive as ever and comes feature-packed. It gets you things like wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay. There's a very nice to use 360-degree camera, and new additions include an onboard air purifier as well as an air freshener.
The fragrance bottle does take up space in the glove box.
On a side note, after having spent quite a bit of time with the latest gen of Mercs with their portrait-oriented touchscreens and button-less dashboards, it's kind of nice to be in a slightly older Merc, which gets you the combination of a touchscreen and physical controls for the climate control system and other settings, and also these nice tactile buttons for the seat controls. You get a commanding view from the GLE's front seats, and that feel of being in a big car really counts for a lot. Now the front seats as before are very well cushioned and supportive, and they also get memory function. You get power adjust including for thigh support, and the new additions now are seat heating and front seat ventilation. But on the subject, I have to say that this cream look for the seats and lower portion of the dashboard is a pain to keep clean.
Mercedes does give the option of darker interior colors as well. Moving over to the back seat.
One of the highlights on the GLE SUV has always been rear seat space and comfort, and the facelift is no different on that front. Now this is a really roomy cabin, and helping that feeling of space is this massive panoramic glass roof. You also get enough shoulder room for 3 occupants to sit in good comfort. However, a middle seat passenger will have to contend with this center console that extends quite far back. The way to really enjoy the GLE's back seat is to bring this large center armrest down and really sit back and relax. And you really have a lot of ways to do that because the seats are fully powered. They move forward and back. The backrest also gets power adjust, as do the headrests, which move up and down and get this really comfortable cushion. Now, apart from these power adjustments, you also get powered sunshades at the back. You get your dedicated climate control zone, and there are also USB Type-C charging ports at the back. But what is amiss is that there are no wireless charging bays, although there seem to be provisions for that on the center armrest.
What's missed is a boss mode to slide the front passenger seat forward from the back.
But I guess if you own a GLE SUV, all you need to do is summon your chauffeur, who has controls for the front passenger seat beside his own seat controls.
In addition to all that I've covered already, the GLE 450 also packs in a sweet sounding Burmester sound system and multi-beam LED headlights that constantly adjust the beam so as to not blind oncoming traffic. A point to note is that the multi-beam LEDs and certain features such as cooled front seats, head-up display, the air fragrance package and air suspension are not offered on the GLE 300D that comes in professional line trim. In terms of safety equipment, the GLE gets 9 airbags, ABS, ESC, a tire pressure monitor and more. Blind spot detection is a handy inclusion, but more ADAS functions like adaptive cruise control are missed. You get quite a bit of storage space inside the cabin, and luggage room at the back is ample as well. The air suspension can be lowered at the touch of a button to ease loading and unloading, and there's even power fold and retraction for the rear seats when you want to maximize luggage space. The GLE comes with a space saver spare tire that sits in a dedicated compartment under the boot floor. As mentioned, there's 3 engines to choose from. There's the GLE 300D with a 269 horsepower and 550 Nm 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine. Then there's the 450D with a 367 horsepower and 750 Nm 3-litre 6-cylinder diesel, while the 450 gets a 380 horsepower and 500 Nm 3-litre straight 6 petrol engine. All engines feature a 48-volt mild hybrid system that briefly chips in with 15 horsepower and 200 Nm under hard acceleration. A 9-speed automatic transmission with all-wheel drive is standard across the board. The GLE 450 petrol here is the version of interest for ardent petrol heads, or if you're spooked by the government's increasingly vocal anti-diesel outlook.
When you're about to get moving in a GLE 450, there'll be 2 things part of your startup routine. First will be appreciation for just how quiet its engine is. Idle is near silent. The second is you'll go into the settings and switch the active brake assist feature off, which, though it is a safety feature that will automatically brake the car for you in case it senses an impending collision, but in low speed Indian driving conditions it's just too sensitive and can actually be the cause of an accident, and that's a complaint we've had on a lot of Mercs. The straight 6 engine is very smooth and very calm and comes across as if it has a deep reserve of power. So say when you want to overtake, you just press down slightly on the accelerator pedal and you get all the power that you need. And honestly, you won't really need to go beyond 3000 RPM in most cases. But if you do have the road space to really extend this engine, it'll go all the way to 6000 RPM and lets out this nice snarl when you're at it.
Mercedes claims a 0 to 100 kph time of just 5.6 seconds, which is quick by any measure.
As ever, Merc's 9-speed gearbox is smooth and well in tune with your requirements and the engine's characteristics, and if you want added control, you always have paddle shifters. But while the engine has a sporty side, this car's suspension doesn't. The air suspension doesn't have a sport mode, and what that means is that body movements are not as well contained as you'd want them to be, and in effect, the GLE does tend to feel a bit roly-poly in the corners. The comfort-oriented suspension does deliver a very likable and a very plush ride when you're out cruising though. Even the steering isn't particularly engaging, but it sort of works for this kind of car.
The light steering does come handy in city confines.
There's no getting around just how large the GLE is, but the steering does help to this end. It's light and even U-turns don't require much effort.
As for ride comfort,
at average city speeds, the air suspension does round off most bumps well, but the sharper stuff does come through into the cabin.
big bumps taken at moderate speed will result in a loud thwack from the suspension.
And when the surface gets really bad, you have the option to get an additional pair of eyes on you by using the transparent bonnet function. Now what that does is it relays a feed of the camera which literally shows the surface beneath the car, and that really comes handy in the rough.
The GLE isn't an out-and-out off-roader, but it packs in hill descent control, off-road screens, and versions with air suspension also give you the option to raise ride height to clear obstacles to your farmhouse perhaps. So, is the GLE the luxury SUV for you? If comfort is priority and the rear seat is where you'll spend the most of your time, the GLE is a good fit. As for its rivals, a BMW X5 is sportier, an Audi Q7 and Volvo XC90 offer the added utility of a third row of seats for a lot less money, the Jeep Grand Cherokee is more outdoorsy, and the Lexus RX has a distinct personality that many will like. The GLE has become undoubtedly expensive and feels pricey even by segment standards, but Mercedes says the class best resale values help justify the premium. If you're happy to pay the big bucks Mercedes wants for a GLE, you really can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, rolling. Crab walk.
This is the new Mercedes GLE, and over this video we'll quickly discuss what's changed, what stays the same, and if this is the 1 crore rupee SUV for you. The digital dials, yeah. कौन है भाई? Okay, ready, steady, go.